Hello, everyone. My name is Rusty Ford. I'm a certified suicide prevention and intervention specialist in Washington State. Today, I would like to talk to you about a simple idea of how to use your phone in suicide prevention and intervention. Now, you don't have to be a trained person to be able to do this. And you know, if you've had training, you probably already know, about putting, hotline numbers on your phone and uh, But so what I want to share with you can apply to virtually anybody. All you need is your little cell phone. And, uh, let me bring up my screen in my phone. So in case I talk to somebody that may be suicidal, um, I have a list of the local crisis numbers. And I mention local because it's really important if you're going to put a number in your phone to um, use a local number. Type into any search engine your town and suicide uh, hotline or crisis hotline, and you can find the numbers for the crisis locations in your area. And the suicide hotline, national suicide hotline, you know they get your information and then they refer you to a local person. And it's important that to know that if your phone number area code is not an area code from your area, they'll transfer you to somebody outside your area. And one of the things that I do when I have a phone and I got one of these numbers on the phone, I bring the number up, and then if I'm talking to them and I ask them you uh, about suicide, or they're thinking about suicide, or they share, if it's if you're somebody who's not trained and don't know how to ask somebody, but the subject comes up and they say they're suicidal or they want to die or something, uh, you can ask them, have you ever called the suicide hotline or the crisis hotline? And one of the things I do this in real life, I'll say, well, why don't we call them together? And I said, can I see your phone? And we'll call from your phone so you'll have the number in the future case. So I look at my phone and, type in the number on their phone and call, you know, and then at that point, I'll usually say, hi, my name is Rusty Ford. I'm with a friend who's thinking about suicide. So I was helping them call you. So I'm going to hand them the phone so you can have a conversation with them. Um, when you do that, the person is able to realize, oh, it's not hard to call. These people are helpful, understanding, non-judgmental. And so having these list of numbers on your phone um, is a very helpful thing. In the description, I have a link to a little work page to help you find the information so that it's easy to put it on your phone. And I'm going to go to share screen feature now. So pause, while I bring that screen up, and there's the screen. Um, and so you can print this up. Uh, you can, I don't know if I can, there I go. You bring it up. Uh, and so in it, I got several groups of numbers. The first one is your local crisis numbers. Uh, I have on the page, uh, multiple places for numbers for a simple reason. If you're like me and you live close to the county borderline, I may need to contact the King County crisis line, or I may need to contact the Pierce County crisis line. Depends on where I am and who I'm talking to. So, I got a place for both of those. Then the next one is the mobile crisis unit. A lot of more urban areas have mobile crisis units uh, for their cities or for their counties. Now, a mobile crisis unit is a, a, a group of trained professionals, counselors, and other trained people who, if somebody's in a mental health crisis, you can call them and they'll send a team out to help. A lot of people are much more comfortable doing this than calling 911. And I have another video that I'm making right after this one on how to call 911 in a mental health crisis situation, because there are ways to do that to make it move smoothly and you uh, and less traumatic for the person, because a lot of people are afraid of calling because if they send a police officer, maybe you know they don't know what's going to happen. And in the 911 video, I'll explain how all that works. But you know, um, if you don't have this on your phone, all you have to do if you're with a friend who is in crisis is call 911 and ask, is there a mobile crisis uh, unit that can come out to your house? And they can give you the number, or and most of the time transfer you over to the mobile crisis unit. But I think it's just easier if you have these right there on your phone. uh, and so I'm going to switch back off. Well, I don't know. Stop share. There we go. Now, here's my copy of the page. And if you could see it well, I don't know if you can. On my laptop monitor, it looks like a lot of light over me is reflecting on the page. But I've got the crisis numbers for King County and Pierce County. As I mentioned before, I can call either one of those. Uh, then I've got the youth number. Uh, King County doesn't have one, even though it's the more populated county. I was surprised, but Pierce County does. So the number I have there is for youth, teens and preteens to call. Uh, if they're in crisis, it's sometimes it's easier you know, uh, to talk to somebody uh, that is you know has specific training with working with youth. And sometimes in some places, not all of them, uh, these the counselors at that line could be teenagers themselves, but that's not always the case in every call center. Then I have both King County and Pierce County's uh, mobile crisis unit. you, um, and the next one, again, I'm surprised that the larger county, King County, doesn't have its own text line. Uh, but in Pierce County, and you can call from King County, they have a number. You type in 741-741, or you text HEAL, HEAL, to 741-741. So I've got that. Washington State has a warm line. Now, for those of you who don't know what a warm line is, that's a place, if you're struggling emotionally, that you can call and just talk to someone. Now, most warm lines, unlike crisis lines, aren't open 24 hours a day. Most of them are open through the evening, 5 to 10. And some states have warm lines that go to midnight. Some of them start earlier in the day. But this is where, if you're just feeling lonely, uh, you're feeling really anxious, you can just call and talk to somebody for free. They're trained in how to have conversation, but they're not counselors. They're not going to try and fix you. They're just going to talk and listen. And you suffer severe depression or anxiety, and you're home alone, uh, and you're really stressing, you can call the warm line. So I've got the warm line down there. At the bottom of the page, uh, I've got a list of where you could put local uh, support groups, survivors of suicide support groups. And there's two specific types of support groups. There's one for uh, people who've tried to end their life with suicide, and there's one for people who are survivors of suicide loss. That means they lost a family member or a friend to suicide. And you know, uh, I don't actually have those on my phone, uh, but I have them on my worksheet that's in my briefcase, so that if somebody needs that information, I can give it to them, uh, or I can email it to them or whatever. Now on my phone, let me show you. on my phone. Let's hopefully I can get a good picture of this. So you, I've got my contacts list, and if you could see over to the side on my Android phone, it's got a place for groups. So what I do is in my contacts, I've got King and Pierce County crisis lines and the mobile crisis units and stuff. And I click over on groups. I created a group, and here's the group called Crisis. And if you can read it, right down there are all the crisis warm line uh, numbers, the youth number, everything that I need is in that one place. And so it makes it easy um, to have access to that information. Hopefully, uh, unless you're a professional, I hope you never ever have to use it. But I recommend everybody have these numbers on your line because you just never know when somebody may go into crisis. You know, uh, I myself lost a sister to suicide. Uh, Another uh, family member this year ended their life with suicide. You, um, it's on. It's an in-law, but still, you know, it's around us, and when you talk about youth, we're talking about in Washington State, 18% of high schoolers have thought enough about suicide to have actually developed a plan. That's almost 1 in 5 teenagers have thought about suicide enough to make a plan. So to have this information available you know, um, is really important. Uh, as I mentioned, I will call the number on their line, and then when they're finished, we save that you know, con- contact in case they need it you know, again. And it doesn't matter if it's the crisis line or the warm line or you text the text line. Um, Now the crisis unit, I don't ever, I mean, I do call, but I don't ever put it on their phone. The crisis unit is when somebody is in immediate suicide crisis. I mean, their life is just totally falling apart and they're thinking about ending their life today or in the very near future. They've got a plan, they're thinking about it, you know, uh, and this is a way, if you've got that on your phone and you're talking to somebody, um, that you can get them help. Um, Another thing you can do with your phone is sometimes you're talking on the phone with somebody, and sometimes people will share more with you on a phone than they will face to face. They're afraid of judgmental looks, and so somebody may express their suicidal thoughts or ideation quicker with you on the phone, and you can get help you know, um, anywhere in the country. If I've got family that live in Tennessee. I've got family that lives in Florida. I've got family that lives in Mississippi. If I was talking to one of them, you know, um, I call you know, I can, I can bring up my phone, and while in the conversation, there's a little plus mark on my Android phone, and I hit that plus mark, and it says add a call. I can call um, the crisis center, you know, uh, and bring them on the phone with our phone call. You know, um, and so that is the ways. There's some other ways for suicide prevention. If you're suicidal, um, there are all kinds of mental health apps that you can add to your phone. There's gratitude exercises that you can put on your phone. There's a you can if you're working with a counselor and you're suicidal and you've developed a safety plan, there's places, there's apps where you could put your safety plan right on your phone. So you're thinking, oh, gee, it's a tough day. Life is hopeless. I should just end my life. And you think, well, do I really want to do that? You know, and you can bring up your safety plan and say, oh, during this, I can call this person, or here's a number for my counselor. In that in those apps, you got a place for the national and state um, hotlines. And so, there's another way you can use your phone uh, in trying to help somebody not in their life. I mean, this is not, something most people want to do. Even people who are suicidal usually don't want to die. I mean, they just don't care if they live. They're ambivalent, or the pain is so great they just want to end the pain and they don't know any other way to do it. And they're just looking for someone who can, you know, help them make that path. So if you don't have the training and don't know how, you know, you can put on your phone people who can help. You know, and so these people, you not only can help them talk them down from suicide, but know tons of resources in your community that can help that person get their life together. And so I wish you the best. I hope you never have to use this, but if you have this stuff, these numbers on your phone, if you do ever meet somebody in crisis, whether it's a stranger, a family member, or a friend, you've got that right there with you no matter where you're at. I wish you all the best and a full and happy life.